Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about how to tack your horse up English style. I'm here with Crosby, and Crosby is an off-the-track thoroughbred gelding, very handsome guy, and I usually ride him in the dressage saddle, so that's the saddle I'm going to be using to show you guys today how to tack up. I'm going to be covering some common mistakes that we can make when we're saddling our horse, and I'm also going to cover a correct way to do it where your horse is comfortable and you can be safe. So now Crosby's in the cross ties. There's 3 steps we're going to go through when we saddle our horse English. We're first going to put our saddle pad on. Second, we're going to put our saddle on. And third, we're going to put our girth on. Now, before we put our English saddle on, we want to make sure that our his feet are picked out. There's no stones or debris in those feet. We also want to make sure that we brush our horse and we remove all the dirt and check him over for the day. Crosby, ready to put your saddle pad on? So he's gonna eat it. So the first step is putting our saddle pad on. This is a dressage saddle pad, and there are several different types of English saddle pads. We have baby pads, we have half pads, and much more. So I'm gonna put those up on the screen here for you. When we are putting our pad on, we wanna first find the front of the pad, which is where the keepers are here. So you can see those. We're going to be putting the pad on going in the direction of our horse's hair. So we're going to put it too far up the neck and slide it down in the direction of the hair. We never want to go against the hair because you can see when I go against the hair, it causes the hair to stand on end. And this could cause some rubbing when we put our saddle on and potential saddle sores. So you can see when I go in the direction of the hair, it smooths the hair out. So now that we've got the saddle pad on, the next thing we're going to do is put our saddle on. This is the dressage saddle we're going to be using today, and there's a couple ways that you could put your saddle on. The first way that I've seen is by holding the front and the back of the saddle like this and lifting it up and tossing it over the horse. By doing it this way, it's a lot harder on your back, and I found that it tends to land a lot heavier on the horse's back. So instead of doing it that way, I find it to be easier to take your saddle and set it up into your hip like this. Take your right hand, wrap it around the back, left hand, wrap it around the front. And you're going to use your hip to swing the saddle up over your horse's back and gently set it on his back. So it's just like giving your horse a hug. Just like that. So now let's put the saddle on Crosby. As we go to put our saddle on our horse, we want to swing it up and set it down nice and gently on our horse's back. Once our saddle is on, we're going to take the middle of the pad, which is right here, and pull it up to the middle of the pommel here. So I'm going to lift up the pad and the pommel and wiggle the pad up to the middle. That's just going to give the withers a little bit more relief. And then next, I'm going to take my billets and put them into my keepers. So these are the billets, and I'm going to set them inside of my keeper like this. And this just prevents my saddle pad from moving. And then we have this top keeper here, which is optional. Some people choose to cut this off. I choose to keep it on. You can set it underneath like this and Velcro it in, and that just keeps the front of your saddle pad from sliding. So we set our flap back down. And now we're going to look at the saddle position. I'm going to show you it too far back, too far forward, and in the correct position. First, let's look at the correct position. You want your saddle to sit just behind the shoulder where it locks into place. Here we can see that the saddle is too far back and the billets are by the rib cage. Here it is too far forward with the billets right near the front leg. And here it's in the correct position behind the shoulder. So you made it to our final part, which is putting our girth on. So this is a type of girth that I like. It's curved. This is a girth by Albion. And I'm going to be putting this on so my curve is facing forward. Every girth is a little bit different, so it depends on the style. I'm going to be taking my billets here and running them through my keeper and then onto my roller, and I'm going to buckle them in. So I want these buckles to be even. So as we look at where our girth is placed, we want it to be placed about 4 inches behind the front leg here. So we wouldn't want it to sit right up in here because it would restrict the horse's motion somewhat. So even though this girth is cut back a little bit, I want it to sit here where the horse has plenty of range of motion. Another way of looking at where your girth is placed is you can feel under your horse's belly here, and it's nice and flat right here, and as we move our hand back into the rib cage, it gets wider. So we want our girth to sit right about here in that flat spot. So I'm going to set it back down, and there's where I want it to be. Here it'd be too far back, here it'd be too far forward, there's where it's just right. So now I'm going to buckle it up on the other side. So now that our girth is secure on both sides, I just want to give you a few tips on cinching your horse up. First off, you want to cinch your horse up even on both sides. So if you're on hole 5 on the left, you want to be on hole 5 on the right once your saddle is completely cinched up to the level that you want for riding. The other tip is making sure that you gradually cinch your horse up. So many times we'll come out, we want to get on our horse, and we'll tighten up that girth as tight as we can and then get on and ride. And if we do that, it can cause some stress for the horse, as that's uncomfortable for them to crank that girth up really tight and then hop on. And also the horse can tense up his muscles when we do that, and then when he relaxes his muscles, the girth is loose, and that can put us in an unsafe position as a rider. So what I do to prevent this is I cinch up 3 times. The first time is just in the brush stall, just to secure the saddle on the horse. The second time is after I've taken the horse out, maybe into the arena, and I walk him around a little bit. And then the third time is right before I get on my horse. So you guys have heard me say this before, but you always want to make sure your saddle is checked by a professional saddle fitter so it fits you and your horse if you haven't done that already. Crosby and I are going to go out for a ride. I'm not wearing white again. This got pretty dirty. Huh, buddy? I'm going to go out and get it a little more dirty. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next video. Come on, Crosby.